On December 7th, the day before, released on Steam to overwhelmingly negative reviews. Players complained about server issues, subpar gameplay, and poor performance. On December 11th, the game was dead. Fantastic released a short, terse message on Twitter, you can call it X if you want, I'm not, that the studio was closing due to a lack of funding. The fix was in, and anyone who actually bought the game was left holding the proverbial bag. And what a roller coaster ride this game has been. From that first massively hyped trailer to everything that followed, this game was at very least a constant source of amusement for people watching from the sidelines. For the players who actually looked forward to this thing, what a disappointment. The game was originally promised as an open-world MMO zombie survival experience, but was released as a half-baked extraction shooter, and I want to stress that's not an exaggeration. The store page still describes the game as an MMO, but in its current state, it is a half-baked extraction shooter, a shooter that extracts and was baked halfway. I want to stress all of those words contain no exaggeration and may even be a little generous. With that in mind, hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, we're talking about how the day before lied to us. So, sure, there was a possibility that things could improve. That's probably why Fantastic slapped the early access tag on at the last minute, but it doesn't matter now. With the closure of the studio, the game's effectively dead. Whatever future the game had left, it's gone. And it's not uncommon to hear people talk about a rug pull, where a Kickstarter game or an early access game just disappears into the night, with the devs running away with the money that was meant to fund development. It's something that a lot of people joked about the day before, but I didn't think it would play out exactly like this. And I don't know if it's a scam or pure incompetence, but either way, it just really sucks for everybody who was actually interested in this thing. Looking back, the first announcement trailer was absolutely chock full of red flags, but we're so used to trailers exaggerating or embellishing what's actually in the game, a lot of folks ignored it and accepted what they were seeing. It was very ambitious and seemed to come out of nowhere, and I'd say in hindsight, we should have known better, and a lot of us did. A lot of us did. Through the years, you've heard me express plenty of skepticism about this game, but also, I've always tried to be optimistic. I never want to just take a big old steaming dump on some developer that's punching above their weight. Honestly, I like it when developers do that. It's oftentimes kind of a wild haymaker, and when it connects, it's crazy. But, Hail Mary plays aren't typically referred to as such because they have more than a prayer going for them. But these guys were promising nothing less than the fidelity of The Last of Us, the world and danger of The Division, and a massive player-driven world at the same time. It sounds too good to be true because, it was too good to be true. Still, people got hyped, and for good reason. It's an impressive trailer. It went for the Red Dead Redemption, Rockstar style guided tour, which gives the players the impression that it will be an open world game. This is, of course, arguable. One of the narrator's first lies is that the day before takes place in a huge post-apocalyptic world, which is not the small chunk of city and countryside that's in the game. The stilted dialogue from the players didn't fool anyone, even back then, but a lot of games try to do this sort of enhanced gameplay stuff with trailers where it's all scripted and it's meant to give viewers the impression of what the final game's going to be. It's obviously staged, the players are never convincing, but it's not abnormal. It's unfortunately a common industry practice. In the trailer, the players get a radio message that's from the Woodbury community, which implies a lot of things, like this is a place you can actually drive to, a survival colony among many in the open world. It's not in the final game at all. Woodbury is a place you wake up at the start of the game. It's more of a central hub and not part of the map. It's the only survival colony in the game, so everything about this message is either misleading or just isn't in the game. There's plenty more in that first trailer. It's clearly not in the finished game. The animation where the guy hits the soda machine and gets something out of it, that's not in the game. The shootout in the store has objects flying all over the place and environmental damage. It's not in the game. The elevator shown in the announcement trailer, that doesn't work. Crafting doesn't work, at least not like that. Nor is there a stealth element element to the game, as implied at the end. Zombies all just attack you. There's no detection system. They're just like, person. Yeah, even like the weird Walking Dead crapola game that came out where you can use smoke for stealth has stealth in it. This game doesn't. Okay, there's no smoke floating around the city that you can completely hide yourself from zombies in. Nothing like that. There's a lot that's not in the final game. What this trailer promised was an exciting multiplayer experience that looks amazing and is full of surprises. It's a game I'd love to play, but I haven't. I have played the day before, but it's not that. And you'd think the first trailer would be the worst for this sort of embellishment. It often is with games, but the second trailer, called the exclusive official gameplay trailer, is way worse. Before getting into this, I want to make it clear that the final game, what it actually is, it's an extraction shooter where they randomly dump you into part of a large map. You fight with other players for resources that you can take back to base, and you can either equip it if it's a better gun, or if it's not, you sell it for money. And the map is the size of a large multiplayer map, like a Warzone map or something like that, but not an open world map. Keep that in mind when you see the gameplay they're showing here. Everything about the cars in this trailer is absolute BS. I'm just going to come out and say it. There's no way they were going to make a MMO with a Mud Runner style simulation going on in the background. That's not possible. There's a reason most interactions in MMOs are basic and timer based, because anything that requires more precision is usually too much for the servers. I don't have time to get into the technical aspects here, and I'm not smart enough to explain it properly anyways. But just keep in the back of your mind what's going on here versus any random MMO. Like, there's a reason they don't play like this. None of the environments shown in the trailer are in the final game. It all implies the place is so much bigger than it ended up being. The gas station is where the claims of stolen assets started. It looks remarkably similar to the gas station in Life is Strange 2. Yeah, this is where the first claims that the game was an asset flip started, but now that we have access to the main game, much more confirmation. I'm not going to go through everything people claim is either a store-bought asset or something they may have stolen, because if this Reddit post by Epic Story 1989 is to be believed, nearly everything in the game is some kind of stock or purchase asset. Now that players can actually compare the game files to asset source stuff, they can pretty definitively claim that a whole hell of a lot of the stuff is either based off of or literally just copy-pasted assets that were purchased from a digital store. It's pretty damning. Covers everything in the game. It's from the UI to the quest system, the dialogue system, the characters, almost everything in the entire city. It all looks like it came from stuff devs just purchased and slapped in the game. And I would like to very quickly point out that using store-bought assets in a game that is good and took effort, like either in the writing or the mechanics or some element of the game, is really well done. And they used pre-made assets either that they bought or, I don't know, you get a lot of those for free in Unreal. There's plenty of games that make use of pre-made or store-bought assets to great effect, but The Day Before is not one of them. Going back to the trailer, the segment of the gas station hits us with another bold-faced lie. The guy in the video climbs over the waist-high barrier, which is something you can't do in the actual game. It makes no sense why it's there. It's not in the final product. But I can't really imagine that it would have been that difficult to bring over, right? Like, it's not exactly like the most impressive thing we've ever seen, is it? No. The zombie density is not right either. There are way more zombies around in this trailer compared to the final game. When they go back to the car, there's this whole complicated menu of options that seem to give you a huge amount of granular control over how to upgrade or repair the vehicle. This should come as no surprise at this point, but none of that is in the game, not even in any form. There's nothing like that in the game. One thing I will give the trailer, this part with the alarm system, that house isn't in the game, but at least the whole turn off the alarm system mechanic is, and it's basically as represented here. Alarms don't draw the attention of zombies in the game, though. They're just noisy and annoying. Oh yeah, you know that intriguing bunker at the end of the trailer that seems to lead to something interesting and mysterious? Yeah, these are just exfiltration points in the game. They automatically open, and there's nothing interesting about them. When you're done, you go there. The last of the old trailers was the official release date trailer from back in 2021. Other than promising the game would come out in 2022, which obviously didn't happen, this one looks a lot closer to the actual game we got. So the parts where it's blatantly misleading begin to stand out even more. like the opening, where it shows this endless expanse of trees, which imply the world is, again, big rather than the smallish map that we got. Another bit in the trailer shows a player character picking up a phone off a display in a store, which I don't care how much you want to pick up a phone, you're not doing that. The gun customization stuff shown in this trailer looks like it's out of Metro Exodus. It's just a standard mod menu now, though. Even in the NVIDIA trailer, which showed off the game's ray tracing, which I'm pretty sure isn't in the final game at all, has gameplay stuff that isn't in the final game. Like this shot that shows 5 players teaming up. Nah, limited to 4. Oops. All these early trailers had people questioning whether all this was even possible. So Fantastic pivoted to less ambitious trailers in the following years. Stuff like this official gameplay one from 10 months ago. It's boring, but it's mostly accurate to what's in the final game, more or less. The same can be said of the final trailer, which for some bizarre reason is more focused on sports cars. It looks more like a weird Forza trailer than like a zombie survival game, which is, I don't know. It's really bizarre. At that point, the devs were mostly just trying to coast on goodwill and expectations. They knew there was a market for a game like this. It's something that a lot of people clearly want in a game. There was some actual legitimate hype behind it, even if the game's claim to fame that it was the most wishlisted game on Steam was quite probably accomplished via bots. We know they use bots to try to inflate the user reviews. That big Reddit post has receipts to prove it. So why wouldn't they do that with wish lists? During all that hype, they never put out pre-orders, tried to hawk a Patreon or do a Kickstarter campaign, which are commonly used resources for your standard bait and switch, so some people assume the game was actually real. A lot of red flags, like the many delays and that time the game was pulled from Steam for copyright reasons, only to reappear less than a month before the game finally came out. Now it's early access. Those are red flags, but they didn't do any of the take the money and run ahead of release type stuff, which I guess good for them, but they never said a word about early access until less than a month before release, which should have been red flag number 1000, but some people really just wanted to believe, I think. Listen, I don't want to kick folks while they're down here. I'm out $40, same as you. I may joke about how people should have known day before was a disaster, but at the end of the day, it's not people's fault, right? It's Fantastic's fault, a company's fault. People just wanted to play a survival MMO. That's not, like, bad. Fantastic, like, lied. Again, I don't know if it was out of malice or they're just morons, but they did lie. And on December 7th, the game came out and it was revealed to be an absolute disaster. The 9th worst rated game on Steam of all time. 50% of the player base has refunded the game. Only 5 days after the game came out, Fantastic closes, and all their promises about the game and its future as an early access title that will get supported for years to come have gone up in smoke. Now, I can't 100% say that everything Fantastic said and did was a lie or a scam or whatever, but even if they meant well at the start, the game kind of ended up being a scam. I told you I don't know what the intent was, but I do know what happened. There have been plenty of games that launch in ridiculously bad states, and eventually they get better, turn themselves around, and take something that was initially seen as a failure and make it into a success. And it's not just these massive budget games like Cyberpunk or Final Fantasy XIV that do it. Tons of smaller games and indies have pulled it off. What is No Man's Sky? A lot of people bought that game, sunk a ton of money into it. It was a big disappointment, and you know what they took that money and did with it? Made it into a damn good game. So seeing Fantastic pull up stakes only 5 days after release of one of the most hyped games of the year feels extremely scummy, no matter how sincere the motives behind the decision were. Ultimately, the game they sold people on was not the game they made, and while maybe, possibly, it could have gotten a fraction close to being the game that was promised years after with additional development, it was never going to be that game. Not from a studio like Fantastic particularly. Maybe they thought they could pull it off, but a lie is a lie, whether they're lying to everybody else or they're lying to themselves. Frankly, does it matter? I don't think it does. It's just as likely that they knew exactly what they were doing as they were delusional idiots. And either way, they charged people $40 for the day before. I do feel like this story is somehow not over yet, even with with the closure of the studio. Like, someday we're going to find out what was really going on at Fantastic, how much of a scam the day before actually was. But until then, I think we're going to have a lot of questions and not a lot of answers. The only thing we know for sure is that the day before sucks, and it's never going to get any better. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero. We'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.